Just a quick video here about the empty seats for Captain Marvel. There are 5 sessions at my local multiplex to go see Captain Marvel tonight. The first session right here has currently started. I don't know why it still allows you to buy tickets online for it, but these are seemingly the current online seats as we speak right now, so this session is very empty, if that's actually accurate. The next session starts in about 15 minutes, and so again, this one's very empty. Not as empty as the previous one for whatever reason, but not that many seats sold. I mean, it's at about 10%, maybe 8%, 5% of the seats. The session after that starts in about an hour and a half. It's a lot more popular, and in an hour and a half time, I don't really know how many more seats get sold. So right now, it's still pretty terrible, the the attendance on here, but I don't really have anything to go by to say, well, that's obviously not how many people are going to see the movie, that's just how many people bought a ticket a few hours in advance, so it may fill up a lot more from that. The session after that is really empty, but again, it's several hours away, so people just might not really buy tickets in advance, I'm not sure. And the last session of the night has got barely no one having a ticket. Every time I look at the tickets, the seats next to the disabled are already taken, and for whatever reason I just figured it was a lot of disabled people go see the movies and have a minder with them, but maybe you have to actually show that you have some sort of invalid pass and those seats are already reserved even though no one's bought them, so that probably makes more sense, just something I never really thought of before. But if that's the case, 8 tickets sold so far for that session. But again, I don't really have anything to go on as to being able to compare how busy it will get as opposed to how many tickets are actually sold. When I saw Captain Marvel, it was for an event screening last week, which was on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was, Wednesday, and it was less than 50% sold when I got my tickets a few hours beforehand. When I rocked up, the cinema itself was probably about 90% full, maybe 80%, but I think probably about 90%. So the event screening I got a ticket to didn't get filled up. So, and the session after mine, I had a look when I left the cinema, I think, to see what the deal was, and they weren't full up either. So even when the film was new, it wasn't setting the world on fire. But right now, again, I don't really know how much these pictures are worth for something that's in a few hours' time. But the first picture, the film's already started, and the second picture, it's about to start. So those two, I think, are pretty accurate. It doesn't look very good for the second weekend box office for Captain Marvel. And just lastly, I was going to make another video, and I probably will, but it looks like Captain Marvel's box office has dropped off a bit, and it's actually underperforming compared to Superman vs. Batman. So I did mention in another video that the worst case scenario was probably that they would get the Superman vs. Batman money, which is still lots of money, but nothing like it was on track to do. It looks like it's actually going worse than what I said the worst case scenario was, so it's very difficult to know. There's also a few stories floating around. I haven't really been able to look into it yet, that Captain Marvel needs $750 million to break even. That's just a bizarre amount of money, because I think the film's budget's $170 million, and their normal rule of thumb is about 50% extra is what they spend on marketing. So if the film's $170 million and it's 750, so like 500 million, 550 million extra dollars, almost 580 million extra, $500 million extra in other costs, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know if any other film has ever had those kind of costs, but is the marketing for Captain Marvel that big? Or, I mean, are they buying movie tickets? Is that what's going on here? I'm not saying I have any evidence of that at all, but if they just went and bought $200 million worth of movie tickets the first weekend, and that would explain why the cinemas are empty, and why it's made such a massive amount of money. It wouldn't be the craziest thing ever. Obviously, they're wasting money, but I think Disney makes around about 60% of the money back in ticket sales, especially for the first weekend. I think the way it works is for the first weekend or first week, they get a very large percentage of the box office proceeds, and as the movie rolls into second week, third week, fourth week, the actual cinemas themselves make a bigger percentage of the money. And so if they buy, let's say, $200 million worth of tickets, they're going to get, say, around about $120 million back. So they're really only spending $80 million, which is still a lot of money. But for $80 million, they get to say that the film brought in $440 million over the weekend, instead of saying it brought in $240 $40 million. So no, absolutely no evidence for this at all, other than if its costs are $750 million to break even, where has that money been spent? I mean, that's a massive amount of money. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.